Here's one you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this one. You're not. From Q News, Western Australian Museum defends its acquisition of historical glory hole. I thought this was a joke. I thought this was a joke article. Okay, I mean, obviously. But I cross-referenced it with other news sources. Not a joke. This is not a joke, folks. This is where we are in our society right now. This is not a joke. The Western Australian Museum has defended its acquisition of a toilet door featuring one of the state's historical glory holes, saying it is the museum's responsibility to represent the entire community. The artifact is a wooden toilet door with a hole cut through it from a train station toilet block southeast of Perth that was used as a gay beat at a time when homosexuality was illegal. Perth man Neil Buckley was part of a local activist group, Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. This timeline we live in right now, I don't know. You couldn't have written this. This isn't. You can't invent this shit. Anyway, that person rescued the door in 1997 before the toilet block was demolished. I'm sure this exhibit will bring back a lot of fond memories for many of the men who used beat culture as a way to meet other gay men, to form friendship partnerships, and had a quickie. He told Perth Voice. Beats were an important part of gay social life and culture. They were a great place to meet, make friends, and have a great anonymous sexual experience. Beat culture is not often talked about, but most of the gay community has done it at one time or another. Sadly, this culture has now disappeared with the installation of automated toilet cubes and gay pickups apps like Grindr and Scruff. Western Australian Museum Chief Executive Alec Coles said the toilet door was an appropriate acquisition for the museum because it was their role to reflect every aspect of society. Clearly, the LGBTQI BBQ WTF community is a very important part of Perth society, he told Perth Now. We often talk about museums as safe spaces for unsafe ideas. When do we often talk about museums as safe places for unsafe ideas? Who talks about it? Who says that? Nobody says that. The museums aren't places for people to sit in chairs having ideas that are unsafe, but they're safe because they're in a museum. There's an unsafe idea. I need to go to a goddamn museum and sit there because that's where ideas are that are unsafe. Fuck this. This is what our culture is now, folks. They're like, I hate how they're saying, gay culture has to be preserved. We want to preserve all of culture. You couldn't have found some art that was made by gay people. You couldn't have found any sculptures. You couldn't have found any gay monuments. You couldn't have found anything that gay people have done that's artistic or worth looking at or worth talking about or in any way valuable at all. No, it's that cum-stained board with a hole in it is valuable history. We have to preserve that. This is where we are now. That dog turd. People love dogs. We have to represent dog owners. That's part of our society. Pick up that dog shit. Pick up the dog shit, put it in a glass case, and put it in a fucking museum because that's where dog shit belongs, is in a fucking museum. This has gotten ridiculous at this point. I mean, museums are places where you preserve objects, not ideas. You preserve objects that need to be protected because they're old, they're valuable, they're things, they're part of our history. A door, a board with a hole in it to stick your dick in. That's historical trash. That's nothing. There's nothing valuable about that whatsoever. You can recreate that now. You want to go out and have somebody suck your dick through a board? Go out and drill a hole in a board, stick your dick in it, and have somebody suck it. There you go. You don't need to put shit like that in a museum. This kind of stuff is where we're going now, and here's why I think this is ultimately flawed. Because when people start to think that every tiny little thing that a culture has ever done, including sticking their dick into a hole, is somehow valuable art, that's when the actual valuable art winds up going away. We don't have that anymore because, oh, this is a cultural significance here. We have to take that board with the hole in it and put it up there. Well, okay, what about, like I said before, what about paintings? What about gay sculptures? What about any kind of gay art? No, we're going to put up a board with a fucking hole in it for your dick. That's what is representative of gay culture, is people sticking their dicks in a hole and getting sucked by somebody they don't know on the other side in a fucking dirty bathroom at a train station. That is what they're saying gay culture is. And that, to me, well, I'm not offended by many things, but that's offensive to me. That's offensive that is what they believe gay culture is a filthy train station bathroom with a hole in it that you stick your dick into. That's what this museum is reducing gay culture to. And that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. This thing needs to, and it needs to be taken out of there and it needs to be burned.